There's a reason, and you did the same thing with Crazy Eyes. You know, because when I saw that piece, I was like, she's the only one that could do it.
Hello, Billy. How are you doing? How are you in London town?
I am blessed and highly favored.
I've been good. Also blessed and highly favored. Amen. Here in Los Angeles, I just moved out here. We just wrapped our show a month and a half ago.
In treatment?
Mm-hmm. We just wrapped a month and a half ago.
I didn't even know they were bringing that back.
Yeah, this is the first year they're bringing it back. So I'm rebooting. I've never...
And are you the therapist?
I'm the therapist, but I am not Gabriel Byrne's character.
I had no idea. It's so fabulous.
I was excited for it. I hope, it resonates. I think we're living in a time where now conversations that surround mental health are not carrying the same level of stigma, the same level of burden, quite frankly, that used to be around them, where if somebody was trying to talk about tackling their mental health or even mention that they were seeing a therapist in our community and communities at large, but definitely in our own, that was thought of, you're saying you were crazy or you belonged in an institution and don't tell your therapist, tell Jesus. I think now in this season post-pandemic, where as a global family, we've all been through something. Even if you thought before no one had a problem in the world, we can all put one thing on the board now and say, everybody's been through a pandemic, even if you thought people's lives, everybody, in addition to whatever they've been through. And so I hope in its coming out now, it will spark some, or just have some lifting with regards to that conversation, that it's wider than just sort of the narrow way we've addressed mental health before. And I'm not against medication, not at all. But when prescribed indiscriminately, it can be like fog on a mountain road. You understand where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. It's the most important part of our body, our mental health, and yet we resist strengthening it, paying it its due attention. And I just thought also great that we're seeing therapists of color, but also seeing patients of color, you know what I mean? So that we understand that this is a space that we too should be included in in terms of a resource, but also those people who are already a part of the mental health providing services, to really start to understand some of the concerns that speak to us in our everyday. We're living in a season where stories that include and expand are necessary, so that the widening of perspectives and life experiences is important. It's gone from being like this narrow idea of how we've seen characters exist to something that is larger, wider. Did you imagine ever, from minute one of getting Pose and creating and holding space for Pray Tell, that the impact socially, culturally, and creatively would be as huge? Your work, from the record-setting Emmy win, I'm just wondering if you understand how important a front-facing Black gay man, what that means and what that space is that you hold.
Yeah, I do.
And to do it also with an excellence, because I think it's important to highlight your you are an artisan. We know the story of Pose, and we know the fashion, but we also need to remember Billy Porter is also a director. Billy Porter is also a writer. Billy Porter is also a Tony winner. Billy Porter is an artist.
There's another house that wants a shot at Daddy's bag. Oh, how the plot hath thickened. I want to say one thing about the first time I saw you, and then I'll get to Pose. Because the first time I saw you was in a musical at the Public, right?
Venice, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was the first time I had ever seen you. I remember looking in the program and going, Uzo, I'm not going to forget that name. Because that's not a normal name. You know, that's not a normal regular name, so I'm not going to forget that name. And that woman is really going places. You know, you're a dark-skinned black woman in the theater who crossed over and let the kids have it. You know, that is what, you know, when you speak of me and knowing, you know, do I know the impact? Yes, I know. It's intentional. I asked the universe for this. I asked the universe exactly for what you're seeing me do. It's not an accident. Decades. You know, it was Angels in America, 1994. I took myself to see it by myself. I'd heard so much about it, I didn't know what it was. I took myself to see it, and I was sitting there, and I just wept the whole time because looking at Jeffrey Wright play the character of Belize.
Yeah.
No shade. He was fabulous. But a straight black man.
Yeah. That part.
Playing the one part that I could get. So we're back. I had to move my table around for the glare in my eye. I'm not at my own house. I don't have my own lighting, so please forgive. We were at Angels in America. I had taken myself to see it. I was really moved by seeing a reflection of myself back at me for the first time. I didn't know that I was missing it until I saw it. I grew up in the 70s. You know, there wasn't really no black people on TV until the Jeffersons and Good Times. And you had those images. But like, there weren't a lot. And to be black and gay, to be black and queer, we call it now, there was no language, there was no space, there was no context for it. You know, what I'm living now, pray tell, in Pose, there was no context for this, for these two things to even exist. So we get to 94 and I'm like, okay, so he's a supporting character. However, he's the moral compass of this show. He's the moral compass of this play. He's not the butt of the joke. He's not the one that's vilified. Nobody's beating him up. Like, it was a revelation.
You're able to take even those characters that were once laughed at, marginalized in the story, relegated to just being the three lines of the hairdresser, right? We don't envision more of their story and enrich it, with love story in a pray tell, loss. You understand what I'm saying? That comes from a richer, deeper experience than the surface level tropes we've witnessed in the past, and that's why you must exist and continue to exist. Your talent is so deep. Your ability is so strong. Your craftsmanship, my friend, my brother, is with excellence. The next and the next and the next and the next must be seen. Yeah. Because what I know, knowing your work and sitting there watching somebody take La Lola that has not only been existent on the screen previous, but we've seen what could have been something like we've seen 1,000 times before. Give her heart, give her legs, give a reason why those boots are called right?
Right. There's a reason. There's a reason. And you did the same thing with Crazy Eyes. You know, because when I saw that piece, I was like, she's the only one that could do it. You're the only person who could, just like you said about me, take that role that is a trope that we've seen and turn it into something that's real, grounded in a real truth and a real humanity. I always say, just because I'm fabulous doesn't mean I'm not serious. You can be fabulous and serious at the same time. You know, the two are not mutually exclusive. And so it's been mind blowing to walk into this season of my life in the way that it has happened. Because I'm going to tell you, I started asking for it in 94. It came about 4 years ago. It don't always come when you want it to, but it's right on time.
Excuse me. The only people that decide what is and isn't fair is the MC Council. Y'all know that. Now the up and coming legendary children of the House of Khan are ready to take center stage. It's a competition. Step aside.
When I witness what's going on in the world, I see the platform that I have now because of Pray Tell and because of Pose. I understand how to use it. I know what it's for. No, I will not sit silent because I'm afraid I might lose a job. No, I won't. This is precisely the time when artists go to work. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. You know, as artists, we've been called. It's a higher frequency that we vibrate on. We have a different kind of connection to the universe, to spirit. We have a direct connection that the regular folks don't have. Why do you think we're always attacked first? You know, when the arts is attacked first, particularly in schools, because when you study the arts, you become a free thinker. And when you're a free thinker, you're no longer a follower of mess.
I would be drowning if I was dealing with everything you are. Your patients, your father, Shelley. The big-ass house, all alone.
I am not drowning, I am furious! Day in and day out, I feel like all these people are looking to me to tell them what to do about this moment we are in. I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to tell myself.
I was working so much, I didn't know that it was happening. And then I saw your face and I was like, oh my God. Like, once again, there's no one else because you have created this space for yourself. I have created this space for myself so that when it's time for the Black Queen, since that's all y'all are interested in, it's all good. It's all good because I played that role better than anybody. So I'm going to embrace that. That's my superpower. Your queerness will be your liability, was what I was told from everything and everybody. So I ran away from the very thing that makes me special. You know, what makes you special is exactly who you are. And so while we are tired of slave narratives as Black people and made narratives and side, you know, we're tired of it. I understand. It's been a long time. That's what you did in Crazy Eyes. And that's why the rest of it cracked open. Let me own it. Let me embrace it. And let me be the best that anyone has ever seen doing it. That's what we do. I'm going to put myself in that category too.
Whatever the trope was before, you have successfully redefined it into something else. And if you know it or not, or intended it or not, I have a feeling there was power of intention there. But I don't want to speak for you.
Yes.
You have created space for the men beside you, the people beside you, the Black men beside you, the Black gay men beside you, and those yet to come. And that is powerful, I think, specifically speaking from a social standpoint where, you know, we're talking about, we're two people representing on our shows aspects in our community that aren't often represented, right? Or aren't often trailed, meaning therapy within our community is not something that's often done. You know, I think it's like 3% of mental health providers are Black people. It's like 1% of us are in attendance. Our outfacing queer community within our community is still, you know, it's challenged. It's not out. It's not open. It's all of this. There's power in what you're doing. I'm just saying there is power in what you're doing. There's power in what MJ's doing. All of y'all out there.
To always have to traverse in spaces where there's no one else, where we're the only one, forever and always, becomes burdensome.
Absolutely.
It's just heavy after a while. It's like, I don't want to have to explain myself all the time. Everywhere I go, I just want a group of people to understand what I'm talking about. It's so exciting for me with Pose, the AIDS crisis, having lived through that, having been right in the middle of it. As a Black man, our community is hit the hardest. The stories aren't about us.
How old was he?
25. Baby.
I just can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Shooting a show during COVID about healing the mind and healing in general when the world is in need of healing. What was that like?
I'm living in the world. I'm living through COVID. I'm living with my own obstacles and weights as well as any other person in the world is, plus also their own COVID experience. It was the healing I didn't know I needed.
Me too.
I didn't know how much my art was my therapy as well.
I've been in trauma therapy the whole time. Really, it's like, well, this is the only time I'm gonna be able to stop for this long. So let me get in this therapy real good, this other kind of therapy real good, and heal this stuff right quick so I can get back on with the rest of my life and tell a different story, right? Stop being defined by my trauma. Stop being defined by my past trauma and my past, and heal it. Once and for all, heal it. And so this COVID time has really been particularly forward moving in that direction. And I didn't, I knew I needed to, but I didn't know how deep it was. One of the things that we talked about was processing your grief, processing your trauma. You have to go through it. You have to go right into the center of it to reveal it, expose it, and heal it. That's why I love In Treatment so much. That's why I loved that show so much before I even know you were doing a reboot of it yesterday. I can't wait. I just got the link today. I'm gonna watch it in London before I go to bed.
Well, and you have to see it because it's like, I'm so excited to be doing it, but like I honestly also have to give love and shouts to a lot of those names who you'll see, and all of them are phenomenal because it's just the two of us sitting and talking.
I don't feel like I'm getting the full picture from you, Layla. Glimpses here and there, yes. But the moment things start to come into focus, it's like, poof, it's gone. But you know what? That's on me. I know I need to earn your trust, not demand it. But sometimes, in my desire to help, I have trouble accepting that things may not happen on my timeline or may not happen at all.
Every single one of them, period, point blank, come in with a fire and a fierceness. When do you get to in television sit down and do, a 10-minute speech and like heavy stuff, you know what I mean? And are able to find ways to make that language sing so beautifully that Jen and Josh have written, our show creators, along with their writers, and make it sound like they themselves they wrote these words.
They have to get the theater babies for that stuff.
And you can see why, because they were truly, like all jokes aside, truly exceptional. It was just amazing to watch, like being in that front seat. I would be like, you guys are smashing right now. Like, this is unreal. Like, this is like amazing and impressive to see. But I also feel and hope that people at home, you know, you might not be right now in treatment, but if you're watching the show, everybody's going to be on the couch.
Right.
You know, a lot of us, we didn't even know needed to be on the couch, you know, and I think this time that we've been through, whether we knew it or not, I think the slowing down of things really forced for a lot of people out those conversations with themselves that have been set on the back burner, you know what I mean? And stuff comes up when you do that.
Yep.
So you guys were filming Pose before pandemic hit, and then, you know, pandemic happened and the world went into lockdown, so you guys had to pause and then go on hiatus.
7 months.
7 months. So what was it like then to have been telling an AIDS story, have been in that, to pause for 7 months, watch the world around you change, but know that the world that of the story you're telling also has its own epidemic story, to now have, you said already, you lived already through the AIDS epidemic. So you had that as a reference point, but now here you are currently living through pandemic.
It became very clear during the pandemic that I was having PTSD based on what I had already lived through. And blessedly, I was in this trauma therapy and was able to sort of work it out. And what I realized was, and you know, I'm 51, so there's a whole generation of gay men, queer men my age, who, you know, we lived through it. We survived the plague, and then the antiretroviral drugs came out in 96, and true to American form, on to the next. Nothing was ever processed. It's like it never even happened. It taught me that I needed to take care of myself. I learned about self-care. I learned about balance. I learned about boundaries, you know, and employing all of those concepts on myself so that I can stay healthy and stay strong enough to show up for what's ahead of us all. I can't do nothing if I'm sick. I can't do nothing if I'm sick in the mind, if I'm sick in my body. I can't do nothing. I can't be the warrior that I'm put on this earth to be. So it was so powerful because it was like, oh, shoot. I did the first 2 seasons of Pose completely unconscious of the fact that I was being re-traumatized by living inside of this again. Because I was so excited that somebody was finally taking me seriously as an actor, I had no idea. Your body doesn't know. Your body doesn't know that it's fake. So unless you regulate it, unless you actually regulate it and know that it must be regulated, you're all over the place. I was all over the place. And quarantine really just focused me in. And in the way that it manifested was, you know, episode 2, season 3, I'm breaking up with Ricky. It just aired so I can talk about it. It's histrionic, you know, railing. And I was able to say to the director, you got 2 of these. You don't get no more than 2 takes of these. So set your cameras up right and make sure you capture it. Because I can't physically, spiritually, and emotionally do this more than twice.
And worst of all, you are positive. That's why your ass came to me. Don't nobody want us.
I will not let you hold me hostage because of HIV.
You ain't going nowhere.
I'm leaving. Let go of the bag.
You ain't going nowhere.
What?
Let go of the bag. I will not let you leave. You gonna leave me like everybody else. You gonna leave me like everybody else. You gonna leave me like everybody.
Stop it.
Everybody's leaving.
Stop it.
Everybody leaves me. Okay. I need you. Okay. I need you to stay. I want you to stay.
The first 2 seasons, I was giving them 16 takes of everything. You know, I was in it all day. Yeah. You know, it's like that was such a gift. And going back to shooting during the pandemic, I was able to be in that space, which gave me breath, which gave me life. And I have to say, playing the character of Pray Tell, going back to why can't I have my prior Walter, you know, the lead character from Angels in America, I got 25 hours of my version of prior Walter. I got 25 hours of it. Woo! I've gotten to tell the story. I've gotten to tell the story, our story, my specific story. I got to tell the story, and now it's time to tell a different one. And that is powerful.
What do you want to do and say with your art now, going forward?
I want my art to resonate in a way that inspires people to dream the impossible. Because I am living proof. You are living proof. We are living proof that the impossible, the seemingly impossible, is very, very possible. And a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people need to be inspired in that way, you know, especially right now, you know, when there are so many undercurrents of negativity that can just pull you under, you know. We need front-facing human beings such as ourselves to remind the world it's going to be okay. It's actually going to be better than okay. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
I'm going to need you, Billy, because, you know, having come out of done a show that's wrapped, you're now doing a show that's wrapped and have like the most exciting career. Like, I need everybody to know how transformative you are. That Billy Porter does drama, but also comedy with excellence. And I'm also going to need somebody to make like a Little Richard movie that you are like starring in.
I'm doing all of them.
I said I'm doing all of them.